Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. All right, we got the BAe Hawk here all put together, but that's not the main focus of this video. What I'm trying to teach y'all how to do using forward programming in the latest firmware that this IX14SC has been updated to, and the 8-channel Spektrum receiver it's in here has been updated to the absolute latest firmware. And once you've got your plane together and you've got forward programming all put in, you got you got safe and AS3X all set up and ready to go, and now you want to say, well, I want to do that nose wheel gyro. Well, how do I do that, Fat Guy? I've got everything updated. Now what do I do? Okay, as I understand how to do forward programming, I've watched your videos on that, but I don't know how to set up a nose wheel gyro. Well, with the latest firmware, I can, what they've said, the new, I don't know what the number is, but it is making the nose wheel gyro so much easier to use and understand. Now they list all their channels. It used to be like, channel 1 through 6, and then they went to aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, all that. Well, now they consider all the channels to be an auxiliary. So channel 5, which is gear, is also aux 5. Then flaps is channel 6 is also aux 6. And then aux 7, aux 8, and all the way up to 20. All right. Now there's two. It actually makes it easier. There's two requirements that you must have if you want a working nose wheel gyro with safe forward programming, or safe select and AS3X forward programming. You must have two things. You must have a physical servo that operates your nose wheel, and you must have an open port on your receiver. So in other words, this is a this is a 6-channel plane out of the box. You got the normal 4 controls, then you got gear, and then you got flaps. Well, you're done. So that's why you have to wire your nose wheel in with your flying rudder, okay, and to get all 6 channels. So, but if you want thrust reverse, you're going to have a separate channel. Well, you're saying, well, you got an 8. Well, I also have thrust reverse. I mean, if you want nose wheel gyro, you got to have an empty channel. This plane also features thrust reversing, and it also must have an empty channel, and we'll cover that also. Okay, now, so let me show you the setup for that. I've already got a battery. She's all bound up, but I do not have the nose wheel set up yet. I do not have the nose wheel gyro engaged set up because I want to show you step by step how to do it. And I want to tell you right now, people, if you don't like mixes or everything, that's great, because you don't have to do a mix anymore. It's actually very, very simple. Okay, number one, let me get you where you can see what I'm doing, or you can see what I got going in here. Okay, if you look inside in here, there was a separate wire for the rudder. It's labeled rudder, and it was wired into the flight rudder. Well, I unwired it, just unhooked it, and I took that and I put it in channel 8 of my transmitter. I mean my receiver. It's plugged into channel 8. Okay, just, you may not be able to see it. You just have to trust me that my flight rudder, or my steering rudder, that servo is plugged into channel 8. Okay, just ran it and plugged it right on in. Now that more broad yellow wire, that's the thrust reversing, plugged into channel 7. Remember, the first 6 channels are used up for the normal plane. Channel 7 is my thrust reversing, which is that little yellow pigtail that came off the ESC throttle cable. And then I separated the rudder servo, steering servo, and plugged it into channel 8. So it's got its own channel. You must have that. If you do not have a separate channel and a steering servo, you cannot do this. Okay? So you're thinking, well, great. Okay, I've got those things. I got my 8-channel receiver. I've separated my steering rudder. But now, when I hit, see, look, see here, see my. Let me move this plane where you can see it. See, looky there. See, well, look what happens if I turn the. Ain't nothing happening with that, right? But back there, look back there in the back of the screen. See that rudder back there? You can see it moving, but ain't nothing happening to this. All right, so let me show you how to do that. Gonna make a little change of position. This is your first step once you physically set those things up. This is your very first step. Okay, so let's get you zoomed in here. So I want to show you what you have to do. Like I said, you don't have to have a mix anymore. Okay? You're going to go to Model Setup page. You're going to go to Channel Assign, hit Proceed. Okay, hold that down. All right. Now, right there, there's my gear. Must be Channel 5. And there's Channel 6, which is where the flap. Okay, and see how they start numbering aux 7 now? All right. Well, looky here. Aux 7 is where I have thrust reverse plugged in at. Okay, I want my thrust reverse to be up here on my bind switch, which is letter I. Okay, so let's go ahead and cover that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to aux 7. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to hold that I button down. Now, well, I didn't mean to hit that just now. That is now thrust reverse. Aux 8, remember that's where I told you I put my rudder servo, or my steering rudder servo. Well, I can't have it on aux 8. I mean, I can't have it on I, because then every time I hit thrust reverse, my front steering is going to go wonky. But I want to be able to steer it. Now, this is where people say, well, this is where you have to do a mix with that and that. No. All you do here is hit this and then move your rudder switch, your rudder stick. Okay? And it automatically knows now whatever is plugged into aux 8, which is my front nose gill steering, is now controlled with my rudder stick. Okay? And we're going to back out of that. Okay? Now, let me show you something. Okay, you can kind of see the wheel there. Look at that. See? And also look up there. See? But look at that. Wait a minute. What if, now they're going right. I mean, that steer, it is moving right. However, what if it was going opposite? What if it was turning the other direction as the rudder went this way, which would basically spin your plane? Well, that's real simple. Okay, all you would do, if that's the situation, it'd be like electronically reversing anything else. Okay, all you would do, let me get you a little. All you would do is go to model adjust, servo setup, and then find it. That's aux 8. That's my steering. All I would do is hit that and reverse it. And then now it would work correctly. But it's working correctly now, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay. I'm going to turn model on. Okay. Hey, look, we're in the same situation as if that rudder with the steering wheel was backwards. Same thing with my reverse thrust. Every time I give this, the motor's going backwards. So, what do? We do the exact same thing. We're going to go back here to servo setup. Okay. Remember, we put it on 7 or aux 7. Switch it. Okay. Now, looky here. Hold it down. Reverse thrust. There you go. Now, and we know that's going right. That's going correct. All right. So let me show you how in forward programming now to set up your nose wheel gyro. Okay. Obviously the plane is sitting there because it's going to ask a question about the gear. Okay. Make sure your throttle cut is on. Otherwise the motor won't work because you can't get into forward programming otherwise. And I know there's a way of putting this on the computer screen, but I'm just not that good with that. Okay, get this position where you can. All right. You're going to go to your gyro settings. All right. Let me back all the way out just to make sure you know. Okay, you get to your, here's your home screen. Okay. Go to model adjust. Forward programming. Your throttle cut must be engaged. Your motor cannot work right now. You're going to go to gyro settings. Okay. You're going to hit nose wheel. Okay, now it wants to know, well, great. Well, we're happy to help you out, but where's your nose wheel at? Well, remember, we put it in 8. Or aux 8. Okay, so okay, they're like, okay, great. Now we know. Well, but we got to know which way is which. So we're going to hit learn channel or learn travel. Now, I'm not going to move the camera again, but all I'm doing is I'm moving the wheel, the front nose wheel, to its furthest extent both ways. Okay, and then I'm going to hit apply. Okay, now it's learned it. Now, it wants to know, and this is the next step, it wants to know what's going on with your retracts. Well, they're extended right now, okay, and we want to know where they're at. Well, it's on aux 5. It's right there where gear is, or channel 5 or aux 5. It's on gear, and they're extended. Now, it wants to know about your delay, and what that is, if you're flying, when your gear's up, you don't need that gyro working on your nose wheel because you're not using it anyways. Okay, so what it wants to know is when that gear comes down, how soon do you want us to turn that gyro on? Okay, how quickly? So I figure this gear is about 5 seconds for it to come down. So we're going to extend delay 2, 3, 4, 5 and click OK. So now that gyro will not come on for your steering until you've hit the gear to come down for 5 seconds. So you take 5 seconds for your gear to come down. Now your gyro will work. Okay, so now we're done with that. Now we're going to go to we got the learn travel, we got the retracts, the disposition of the retracts. So now we got to do our gains. Now here's a step that a lot of people screw up and don't believe Fat Guy on it, but this is what I do, and this works like a charm for me. See, it says gain channel select. Do not hit anything. Let me say it again. Leave this inhibited. You want your steering gyro to be off on its own and not adjustable. You want to have it set. Okay. Now, so what you're going to do, the rate gain, it already has a heading window of 50%. In other words, 50% is where it will work. What I like to do with these kind of jets, I like to put that also at 50%. Okay? Because they're bigger and they're heavy. Now, if you were doing this same thing with a really small, like a little 40 millimeter EDF, a little Bank & Yanks, and it just had the steering nose, you would greatly want to reduce that down to like 30 or 20 because it just makes it so pitchy, because they're already pitchy already. But this is a great setup that I have learned, trial and error, that 50% travel window and 50% rate gain is great for these larger EDFs. And I know 80 millimeter, but this is great for this. And then that's all there is to that. Okay? All right, now I'm going to show you a few things to show you how it's working. Just remember these settings. Do not pick the gain channel. You want these gains set for your nose wheel. You can adjust your flight controls, your flight gains, but this needs to stay set. And do not do inhibit. Leave inhibit alone for the gain channel select. Leave it alone. That's just what works for me. Okay? And that is not hard at all. There's no mixes involved. Okay, so now we're going to back up and I'm going to show you graphically how this works and to prove to you. All right. Now, I've shown you how I physically set it up and I've shown you how I set the nose wheel gyro up electronically. Now, let me prove to you that it's working. All right. Number one, let's put it in safe. Put the plane in safe. I'm not just to show you that. See the elevator stays up and that all works. Okay, the safe works. Okay. Now I'm going to go to where AS3X is, just plain Jane AS3X. Okay, and nothing's happening, right? So because I got my rates adjustable on a knob, so I turn them all the way up. Now they're grossly the flight surfaces are grossly exaggerated. So somewhere in there, I'll pick where my stopping point is on that knob. However, I turn them back down, right? So now there's no flight gyros. However, look at that nose gear. See that? See, that's moving. The flight gyros aren't doing anything. but that nose wheel gyro is working. Okay. Now, understand, just like with AS3X, a wind mitigation gyro, think of this as the same way. This will not automatically keep your plane going down the runway perfectly straight, okay, without any input from you. All right, this is not like self-leveling with safe that levels your plane and basically flies it for you. No, this isn't doing that. Think of the nose wheel gyro the same as you think of a wind gyro, like AS3X is just a wind gyro. And all it does is that when you're going down the runway and you're getting ready to take off, okay, your terrain on your runway may not be perfect. You've got some side wind that may hit your nose as you're going down, making you steer a little bit wonky. All that does, only thing this nose wheel gyro does is just keep, all right, see, look, it's just, if wind hits me this way, then I want that wheel to turn back to pull that nose back towards the wind. And so wind hits me this way and it wants to push the nose away from me, then I want that wheel to turn back, pulling that nose back into me. So all you have to do to know that your nose wheel gyro is going the right way is push it away from you, and the front of that wheel should turn towards you. You should look at it, push it away, and that nose should try to turn towards you a little bit. Pull the plane towards you, and then that nose wheel should turn that way, and it does. Because that would make the plane go forward. That's all it does. It just helps react to what, as you're going down the runway and you hit stuff and your nose goes this way, or the runway is a little bit slanted, or wind. It just helps keeping you track straight. That's all it does. Okay? And that's the whole purpose of a nose wheel gyro. It's just to make these light little planes that are very, very suspect to all these outside forces, little foam planes. It just makes them form and run a little bit better. Okay, so what we covered, real quick, the key points here are you must have a separate steering servo for your nose wheel gyro, and you must have an open port on a forward program enabled Spektrum receiver in order to do it. Okay, remember the key points about setting it up in the computer. Okay, or well, this is a computer, in your transmitter. Okay, you've got to have forward programming done. It has to be enabled, and you must be ready to go, ready to fly. Forward program minus having the nose wheel gyro set up. You must be in your forward programming mode. There's your throttles off. Okay. And you must have that channel, an open channel. Whatever channel you pick to put in the transmitter is what is going to control. You don't have to do a mix. You just go in there and say, what channel is your thing in? Mine's in channel 8 or port 8 on there. So I went into the transmitter. I saw 8, and I said, and it wants to know how you're going to control it. Well, I want to control it with my rudder stick. And then that automatically bound to it, so I don't have to make a mix. And remember, if it's reversed, you just can reverse it like any other control surface. Okay. Then you go into nose wheel gyro. Then you go into the nose wheel gyro settings. Okay. All you do is go in there. Tell it whether your gear is up or down. You pick what kind of delay you want on your when you want the nose wheel gyro to start. After your gear. And then you just set your heading window. How much do you want that gyro to react? For these kind of planes, it already has a 50% window that's going to go in. That's what picks by the computer. You can change it if you want to. But I like 50. Smaller planes, I like to have that a little bit less because they're already going to be pitchy anyways. And that's really all there is to it. And it's just a matter of having a separate channel and an open port on your receiver and a separate channel to operate it with. That's all there is. Okay, it's not hard, it's not rocket scientist, and the way they've got this new update, it makes it so much easier. All right, well, hopefully I did not make all this clear as mud for you. I hope I showed you how it's easy to set up. Feel free to pause and replay this all you want, and I just want you to know, God bless y'all. We're going to get this plane out and made it hopefully tomorrow or soon, and yeah. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good, thank you for plugging in, Hobby Zone. Thank you for taking $400 and some odd of my money to let me buy this. And I can't wait to fly it. All right, God bless y'all. We'll catch y'all next time at the field. And then for as this plane goes, we'll go over all the rates and my S3X settings and all that after the flight. That way, when you see it fly, then I show you my race, you say, oh, well, they work because he just proved it to me. God bless y'all. We'll see you later.